shared me at one of the lowest points in my life. I had lost my job. I was on unemployment. I spent days crying because I was depressed. And health-wise, my body was weak and struggling. One day, I came across the Steve Harvey video randomly on YouTube. The video talked about how people have the power to create the life they truly desire. It suggested that we create a vision board, work hard, and pray. Now immediately, thoughts about myself and my life began to swim in my head. I thought about how my entire life I faced obstacles that tried to break me and defeat me, and how I've never been the girl anyone believed in, yet alone believed in herself. I truly believed I was meant to be down and out my entire life. With nothing left to lose, I took his advice and made a vision board. Whatever was in my heart, I put on there, even if it seemed delusional and impossible. And it was in that moment that I vowed to embrace myself, my life, and my journey. My name is Alexus Goodwin, and I'm here today to talk about the power of overcoming adversity in both mental and physical health. Now, if I had $1 for every time someone told me the saying, or I heard, "What doesn't kill you makes you stronger," I think I'd be richer than Bill Gates. Although cliche, that saying is meant to encourage and motivate people to face their hardships and build a sense of resiliency. According to Dr. Amit Sood, the executive director of the Global Center for Resiliency and Well-Being and former professor of medicine at the Mayo Clinic, resilience is your ability to withstand adversity and bounce back and grow despite life's downturns. Dr. Sood also stated that resilience can be defined in 5 terms and principles: gratitude, compassion, acceptance, meaning, and forgiveness. Now, in the midst of hardships, these 5 principles can be challenging for people to grasp and tap into, but the only way to overcome is through staying strong and working through the difficulties. We only get one life to live, and unfortunately, stress, setbacks, and struggles are inevitable. But I believe it's not what happens that's important, but what you do with it that matters the most. Growing up, I remember feeling like something was wrong with me, and that even when I tried my hardest, I was never enough. I think people underestimate just how much feeling bad about yourself impacts your life. I struggled in school, in extracurricular activities, with my self-esteem, and making friends. While most people spend their freshman year of high school making friends, joining activities, and making great memories, I spent mine being bullied by people who I thought were my friends, having them write mean notes in my locker, and even having them threatening to jump me when I walked home from school every day. I spent my entire year feeling alone, feeling like a mistake, and wondering why people treated me the way that they did. As time went on, I assumed things would get better, but they didn't. I still struggled at making friends at school, and in my opinion, I was struggling at life in general. During my junior year of high school, I sunk into a deep depression, isolated myself from loved ones, and even started self-harming. One night, I hit another low point in my life. I felt as if I was a burden and just a complete waste of space. Thoughts of why me? Why is this my life? Why do bad things always happen to me? And horrible self-talk started to overwhelm me until that's all I could hear. In an attempt to kill myself, I grabbed and took all the pills I could find, over 50. I remember praying, saying, "If I'm meant to be here and do something important, please keep me here." According to minorityhealth.gov, in 2019, suicide was the second leading cause of death for African Americans ages 15 to 24. I could have been a part of that statistic. I knew the only way to get better and get past this was to do what I feared the most. And that was to admit that I wasn't okay and get the help that I needed. Now, getting help and admitting that you need help isn't the easiest thing to do. The societal pressure for perfection and the obsession to display the good and not the bad forces people to associate vulnerability, honesty, and openness as signs of weaknesses. Despite that, I opened up to my parents about what I was going through, and with their support and countless therapy sessions, I began to shift my mindset to a more positive one. Talk more honestly about my feelings instead of suppressing, incorporate better self-talk, and find healthy ways to cope with my feelings. And most importantly, I began to feel hopeful again about my life and believe that good things could and would happen for me. Now, life has a funny way of humbling us and testing us. Through these tests, we build character, develop skills, grow, and learn more about ourselves. As humans, we tend to have this false sense of invincibility. We find ourselves truly believing that things would and could never happen to us. We allow our egos to cloud our judgment at times. And when you have this false sense of invincibility and sense of being untouchable, it can alter how you adapt and react when situations do actually occur. According to the Washington Post, people who think that they are invincible tend to find out in the harshest way possible that they are not. I know this because I was one of those people. As time went on, things got better. I graduated high school. I went to community college for a year, but I worked hard and I got into the school that I was rejected from, all with the intentions of for being to young girls what my therapist was to me. I began to feel like there was this invisible force field around me, keeping out all the bad, leaving me untouchable. 2015 was another low point in my life. I was 19 years old, a sophomore in college, and my life was beginning to change, and not in the way I had always hoped for and imagined. I spent 8 months that year experiencing life-changing symptoms that I nor any doctor could pinpoint what was causing them. My vision turned blurred and doubled, so it made seeing, walking, and driving either dangerous or just impossible. My eyelids drooped so much it looked like I was squinting, and some days it would be hard to open them. My smile that I spent 2 years in braces for turned into a scary and embarrassing snarl, and I could barely make facial expressions. My speech was now slurred and nasally to the point where people now had a hard time making out what I was saying. And my body was extremely weak to where walking long distances couldn't happen, and even brushing my teeth left me winded as if I just ran a marathon. I thought I was going insane because I was constantly being told that nothing was wrong with me because I looked so healthy. The things that I knew that I very so often took for granted, such as seeing, smiling, swallowing, walking, and running, were taken away from me and sadly either never given back or just not the same anymore, even to this day. In June of 2015, 4 words changed my life. You have myasthenia gravis. Myasthenia gravis isn't some weird Harry Potter spell. It is a rare autoimmune disease that causes severe muscle weakness, where the symptoms and the severity are often invisible and fluctuate. I felt as if MG was sent to defeat me. And for a while I was embarrassed and ashamed about what I was going through and did everything in my power to hide it. I even began to hate myself and my life and constantly envy people who had perfect health. I even blamed myself for getting MG and even desired my old self back. I spent years with different doctors who discriminated against me, dismissed me, and treated me differently because I was a young Black woman. I was depressed and masked it all through smiles and laughter. But behind closed doors, I was deteriorating both mentally and physically. I finally became fed up with the cycle of spiraling each year and decided it was time for a change. I changed doctors and found the best doctor I've ever had. I started taking better care of myself and my body, and I changed my attitude to where I no longer asked why me, but how can I use this situation that was meant to break me to help others instead. Once again, I did what I feared the most, and that was to be vulnerable and open. I started sharing my story on social media through creative posts and videos, and started to find my voice and myself. The amount of positive feedback and people reaching out to me saying that my story resonated and helped them led me to start my own support group for anyone living with a chronic illness. I guess you can say, through pain came purpose. There's a famous quote that says, if you're going through hell, keep going. And that's what I want to encourage you to do today. If you're going through a difficult time, embrace it and keep going, because good things can and will happen, and trouble doesn't last always. They say you can't have the good with the bad. In life, struggles and obstacles are bound to happen. You can choose to let them defeat you, or you can defeat them by embracing them and allowing them to strengthen you and grow you. If you are facing adversity in mental health, no matter how alone your situation is making you feel, know that you are not alone. I want to reassure you that it is okay to not be okay all the time. I urge you to seek the help that you need, whether it's therapy and/or treatment. Asking for help and admitting that you are struggling does not mean that you are weak. It takes strength and courage to be vulnerable and honest. Know that there is a whole world and whole life out there with your name on it, and that you must keep going to see all that is waiting for you. If you're facing adversity in physical health, know that you are a warrior. Your experiences are valid, matter, and important. No matter how frustrating or overwhelming your journey gets, push through and never let it diminish your voice. Advocate for yourself. Seek the right doctor that truly sees and hears you. Find the right treatments that work for you. And most importantly, never give up. And as for that vision board I mentioned earlier, one of the pictures that I put on it was of the TED Talk symbol. And here I am with you all today. Thank you so much.